The city of York is England's finest example of a medieval town. So well preserved that it looks like you took a wrong turn somewhere back in 1335 and got stuck in time when you walked down these narrow lanes lined with the ancient original buildings. It's like walking through an outdoor museum, but it's very much a lively and functioning city. We're showing here a few highlights of our visit, enhanced by some accordion street music by Ben Crossway. We'll see and hear more of him later in this summary of the very best of York. The heart of town is completely free of automobiles, dedicated entirely to the pedestrian, filled with beautifully preserved buildings. This is not just a couple of streets without traffic, but an entire zone with a dozen small lanes that you can easily navigate on your own without fear of getting lost. While many towns in Europe have created such pedestrian zones, York was one of the first to make this transformation and continues to expand that walking district. So well preserved that it's become one of the world's most interesting historic cities, with a rich mix of activities for the visitor. This town is surrounded by its original medieval high stone walls that protected it from attackers in the past. And since then, it's protected the town from modernization, because you'll find that the old historic area within these walls is looking like it's about 500 years old. And many of the buildings, in fact, are older. York Minster is the most famous and imposing sight in town, one of the grandest Gothic cathedrals in all of Europe. 3 soaring towers make it easy to find. The York Minster is the largest medieval church north of the Alps. 520 feet long, 250 wide at the transept, with a central tower 200 feet high. The present church was begun in the 1220s and took 250 years to finish. We'll show you a lot more of the Minster and several other churches in a separate movie. 1 block away from the Minster, you'll find St. William's College, which was originally a religious building constructed in half-timbered style. And so we walk over to get a closer look at this St. William's College, a very old structure with its Tudor architecture with the wood beams and the whitewashed walls. We're in the historic center now, taking a stroll around the corner along Goodrem Gate, one of a dozen similar streets that are in the middle of York and so wonderful to explore on foot. You've got historic buildings containing shops, restaurants, and pubs all along the way. It must be some kind of miracle these old buildings are preserved so well, and then a testament to modern urban planning and the economy that they are thriving today, with these businesses all seeming to do very well. One of our favorite restaurant chains in England is Wagamama, with many outlets in London and throughout the country, right here in York on Goodrem Gate. Perhaps the main street in the historic center is Petergate, one end called Low, the other High. It goes right across town, and it is really lively with all sorts of shops and restaurants and pubs, and lots of people out walking, and of course the historic old buildings along both sides of it. English pubs are a great place for some friendly conversation and some tasty beer. And some eating, especially at lunchtime. At dinner, you might want to go to a regular restaurant. And you don't even have to drink alcohol to enjoy a pub. York is a walker's paradise because most of the central streets in the historic district are for pedestrians only, with many fascinating sights packed into a small area of just 1 square mile. Walking is definitely the best way to see this old city, so expect to do a lot of exploration on foot. Well, here's the fun of walking along in the little side lanes. Instead of just strolling along the main street, we're taking a right, going down the alley, taking a left, taking another right, taking another left, and getting a bit confused, turning around, and finding our way back to the main lane. All part of the fun of the back lanes. When you're in York, you certainly want to walk on the wall. It's easy and free. The main wall access is up the steps at Bootham Bar, which leads right into the most scenic section, a half-mile route that takes just 15 minutes and provides lovely views in both directions into the town center and beyond to the more modern neighborhoods. You'll see various angles on the cathedral and other fine sights on the way to Monk Bar, the next gate in the wall. The map shows this section that we are walking and how it wraps around the north side of the Minster. The walk brings you past many of the sites that played a role in the long history of York and provides lovely views. You could walk the entire wall, nearly 3 miles, which might take 2 hours with time for stopping to admire the views and snap your photos. But most people find the short segment is just right. Romans were the first to build a wall here, but the massive walls we see today were constructed primarily in the 13th and 14th centuries. Modifications were made during the Victorian era to make the walls look more attractive, with crenellations added along the top to look like gun slots and several large gates cut for roads. The wall is about 95% intact, making it the nation's longest continuous stretch of medieval fortifications. It was common for Europe's old towns to be surrounded by a protective wall, but in nearly all cases the walls are gone. And in England, only York has such a grand state of preservation, which has really paid off in helping create such a tourist magnet. King Square, as the name might imply, is very central in Old York, with 6 streets emanating out from it, old buildings all around, with a peaceful atmosphere. Here we get a little glimpse of the kind of preservation and renovation work that's necessary to maintain such an old town. A couple of guys way up high on a bucket crane inspecting some tiles on a roof. They've gone to a lot of effort to fix what might be just a small problem. York's most famous lane, called the Shambles, is the only street that preserves its narrow medieval character. The Shambles is so narrow, they say it was possible for neighbors to reach out across the street from their second-story homes and shake hands. You'll probably return several times here as you wander through the town, but you'll find the best time to enjoy the Shambles and get an uncluttered photo and experience is early morning or evening when the shops are closed and the crowd is absent. Be sure to have a look at the Shambles in this peaceful hour, for this narrow, quaint shopping lane fills up with people during the day, something like bumper cars at rush hour. But in the evening, it is a perfect delight. Right next to Shambles, you'll find a classic open-air market. They have got all kinds of things for sale here, from food to t-shirts, jewelry, old junk, hardware, pots and pans, electronic goods, hats, t-shirts, and just great stuff everywhere. Wander around, take some pictures, chat with the local merchants, and just have a great time here at the market. While you're there, don't forget to buy something that will be a keepsake and reminder of your visit to York. It's a rare example of authentic merchandise, not imported from any other country, but right here in England. Be sure to look for 2 famous little statues tucked away in the heart of town, just above street level. You'll find the Roman goddess of knowledge, Minerva, at the corner of Petergate and Minster Gate, looking quite majestic with her white owl and pile of books representing wisdom. Around the corner on Stonegate, look for the Red Devil, perched just above eye level on a building adjacent to an alley called Coffee Yard. When evening finally rolls around, wander over to the southeast part of the town to the intersection of Pavement and Parliament Streets, and here you'll find the All Saints Church, nicely lit up with its belfry and Gothic spire. And in this neighborhood, you can find some real cheap eats. If you'd like to have a kebab dinner, wow, you can have a good meal for about £5, and it's delicious with the sliced meats and the French fries. You don't need a reservation, you don't need a table. Just grab a sandwich to go and you can eat it at a bench or on the run. For a more high-class meal, try the Judge's Lodging in a historic palace. which also rents rooms. You could spend the night here as well, right in the heart of the old town. As we listen to some more music from street artist Ben Crosway, why don't you take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be informed about our regular uploads. We'll be presenting more movies about York, covering the Minster Cathedral. We'll have a walking tour with a local guide, show you some of the fine museums, as well as places to eat. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel.